Beyblade Metal Fusion is the first season of Metal Saga, one of the best seasons of the Beyblade series. There are also 4 seasons of Metal Saga: Metal Fusion, Metal Masters, Metal Fury, and Shogun Steel. However, in this video I will recap Metal Fusion, which is Season 1, in detail from start to end. Now let's move on to our video. First of all, I will talk very briefly about the important characters. Gingka, the main character of the series. He wields a Beyblade named Pegasus, left to him by his father. Kenta. He is our little friend who we all admire for his development throughout the series. The Beyblade he uses is the Flame Sagittario. Kyoya, a character that we can see in every anime for his role, who's both a friend and a rival of the main character. He tries to defeat the main character. His Beyblade is Rock Leon. Benkei, Jinka's best friend. He has great respect for Kyoya. Throughout the series, we see that he's always worried about her. Madoka. She doesn't do Beyblade fighting. She mostly analyzes and repairs Beyblades. Doji. Someone we see in every Beyblade series who wants to use Beyblades and Bladers for his own evil interests. He's the director of the Dark Nebula organization. In my opinion, he's the most successful character in this character type. The Beyblade he uses is the Dark Wolf. Tsubasa. He is an agent assigned by the WBBA. He investigates the Dark Nebula organization. The Beyblade he uses is the Eagled. Yu, also a member of the Dark Nebula. The Beyblade he wields is a Libra. Ryuga, the main antagonist of this season. He's the most important member of the Dark Nebula, along with Lightning El Drago. These are the important characters of the anime. There are also side characters like these. I will talk about them when I describe the anime. Let's move on to our story. In the first episode, we see Gingka arriving in a new city with the desire to take on powerful bladers from around the world. In the meantime, a tournament is taking place in the same area. It's a tournament where new bladers compete and collect points. Of course, Kenta is also in this tournament. Together with Flame Sagittario, Kenta manages to enter the top 8 with his wins. On his way home the same day, he meets Face Hunters members. Benkei, also a member of Face Hunters, starts bullying Kenta. Eventually, they steal Kenta's points and offer him an illegal challenge. Poor Kenta is forced to participate. In the middle of the fight, our man Gingka comes to Kenta's rescue and makes an impressive entrance. He defeats Benkei in one move and helps Kenta. Benkei and the other members, all 5 of them, challenge Gingka. Well, the result is obvious. 5 is not enough. The next day, 100 people challenge him. Gingka defeats all 100. Kyoya, who watches this fight, is very impressed by Gingka and wants to fight against him. Then they meet Madoka. Madoka is repairing the Pegasus. Kyoya invites Gingka to a place where he can use the wind effectively. They steal Kenta's Sagittario to entice Gingka to fight. Gingka is victorious in this gripping battle. Even though Kyoya chooses a special area for himself so that he could more effectively and easily execute his special move, Gingka still wins the battle. After this defeat, Kyoya grows bitter against Gingka. Doji then appears and invites Kyoya to Dark Nebula. He convinces Kyoya that he will help him defeat Gingka. Benkei is shocked when Kyoya joins Dark Nebula, because Benkei has a special love and respect for Kyoya. Doji appears once again and gives Benkei the Dark Bull. He says that if he defeats Gingka, Kyoya will come back faster. It's a bit of a trick, actually. Benkei then challenges Gingka. Of course, Gingka defeats Benkei too. By saving Gingka, Benkei shows that there's a sentimental and good side to him. With this development, Benkei joins the gang. However, the other Face Hunters members declare Benkei a traitor. At that time, they're already dealing with a very funny character named Tetsuya. Tetsuya makes the audience laugh many times. Then Hikaru comes on stage. Hikaru, the first strong female blader we see in the anime, introduces herself as Gingka and takes on Kenta. Hikaru defeats Kenta and thinks she's defeated Gingka. After this defeat, Benkei decides to train and coach Kenta. Together, they train very hard. Kenta reaps the fruits of this training and manages to defeat Hikaru. Now that's fighting spirit. During this time, Kyoya continues his training under Doji's control. Doji takes Kyoya to Wolf Canyon. Legend has it that the king throws his lion cubs into this deep gorge and only those who manage to climb up are raised. Climb up this canyon and prove your fighting strength, Doji tells Kyoya. Kyoya, driven by his ambition for Gingka, does so and makes the climb. In the same time frame, Doji traps Gingka and obtains Pegasus' information. After this training, Kyoya returns to the city to defeat Gingka. They have a glorious battle and Gingka defeats Kyoya once again. With this defeat, Kyoya's mentality changes a little more. Doji arrives in his helicopter after the match and commends Gingka. Gingka sees Doji here for the first time in a long time, and as soon as he sees him, only one person comes to mind: Ryuga. Gingka already knows about Dark Nebula and Doji's plans. He learns that Doji's trying to use Lightning El Drago, a banned Beyblade, for his own purposes. The goal of Gingka and his friends is to stop the Dark Nebula. Gingka, Kyoya, Madoka, Kenta, and Benkei get together and head to Doji's place. After going through many stages, Gingka reaches Doji. At that moment, Ryuga appears with his Lightning El Drago with its majestic power. Ryuga had expended a great deal of energy to obtain the El Drago and had to sleep for a long time. With his dark and destructive power, Ryuga meets Gingka again after a long time. He has perhaps one of the first trash talks in history and tells Gingka, "Your father was incompetent and so are you. Neither of you will amount to anything," playing on his psychology. Because Ryuga knows that Gingka will unleash his full power with this anger and ambition, and that will play into Ryuga's hands. Because El Drago is a Beyblade that can steal the opponent's energy. Going back in time, the story of Beyblades is quite different. In the Metal series, Beyblades are described as a power used in wars in the past and used to build empires. It is claimed that those who can control this hidden power can control the world. The Beyblade with the cruelest power among these Beyblades is Lightning El Drago. El Drago has not been controlled by anyone for generations and was eventually sealed. It is also stated that El Drago is a banned Beyblade because it turns left. Doji also realizes this and wants to acquire El Drago. Gingka and his father live in Kumai Village. El Drago was sealed in a cave there. Doji comes to Kumai Village to get the El Drago. Gingka's father fights a battle with Pegasus against El Drago, but at the end of this battle, Gingka's father is defeated and gives Pegasus to Gingka and leaves. He also leaves him with a will. Defeat El Drago and get him back. Gingka thinks his father is dead, and this is where the anger towards Ryuga comes from. Back to the anime, during Gingka's battles with Ryuga, we don't see much of the powerful Gingka we're used to. Ryuga defeats Gingka with his black attack move, and Gingka suffers his first defeat in the anime against Ryuga. This defeat has a very negative effect on Gingka, and he almost seems to be depressed. Thinking that he has no right to use the Beyblade, he leaves a farewell letter to his friends and goes on a journey. His friends follow Gingka and try to track him down to Koma Village where he was born. During the journey, they meet Hyoma, Gingka's childhood friend. Hyoma tries to prevent them from going to Koma Village by stalling them. Kyoya is the one who notices Hyoma's efforts. A fight ensues between Kenta and Hyoma. Kenta loses this battle. He then battles Benkei, but Hyoma defeats him as well. Our characters think that Hyoma is working for Dark Nebula, but Hyoma corrects this misconception and supports their quest to find Gingka. Hyoma helps them reach Koma Village. Meanwhile, Gingka wants to gain more power, as he believes that Pegasus cannot defeat El Drago with its current power. In the village, Baku tells Gingka that he must find the missing piece on the mountain. Gingka sets out alone to find it. He faces many difficulties on his journey, but eventually he reaches the fragment. In the process, he finds a letter left to him by Gingka's father. His father says, "Winning is not everything. It's the Beyblade spirit that counts," his father says, mentally picking Gingka up and motivating him. Gingka recovers from this defeat and continues his journey. He has a match with Hyoma and proves that he has recovered by emerging victorious. At the same time, Doji introduces Ryuga to Yu. Yu fights a battle against Ryuga, but Ryuga wins. Yu is impressed by Ryuga's power and agrees to join the Dark Nebula. WBBA organizes a fight for survival, and many bladers join the fight. Yu, Hikaru, Kenta, Benkei, Kyoya, and Gingka also take part. Tetsuya is also trying to be a weasel as usual. In this battle, Kyoya manages to defeat Hyoma. At the same time, there's a battle between Benkei, Kenta, Hikaru, and Yu, which Yu wins. Then Yu and Gingka battle it out, but Madoka intervenes in the battle because she notices that Leon is badly damaged. With Madoka's warning, Kyoya enters the arena and takes Leon and is eliminated. At the same time, Madoka is also eliminated with this move. Gingka and Yu are the finalists. Yu defeats Gingka to become the champion, and Gingka suffers his second defeat in the anime. When Yu becomes champion, he asks WBBA to organize a tournament, which is called Battle Bladers. The tournament requires the collection of 50,000 Bay points so that only powerful bladers can participate. Our heroes start working to collect these points. Meanwhile, Kenta's Flame Sagittario is damaged, but a person who introduces himself as Phoenix gives him a new Flame Sagittario. Before the tournament begins, Tsubasa takes the stage and meets Gingka. Tsubasa is an agent assigned by the WBBA to investigate the Dark Nebula. Tsubasa attracts Doji's attention, and Doji begins to investigate Tsubasa. When Tsubasa realizes this, he comes to DJ and asks to be included in the Dark Nebula. Doji initially refuses, but is later convinced and starts to test Tsubasa. Tsubasa fights Yu and proves his strength by drawing. Thus, he officially becomes a member of the Dark Nebula. He plans to investigate them by joining the organization, becoming a homie like Yu. Tsubasa defeats Kenta. Hyoma had made a good start to the anime, but with one defeat after another, he went into serious decline. Meanwhile, a blader named Sora appears, claiming to be Ginka's student. But of course this was a lie. He was a fan of Ginka, but not a student. He was already at the very beginning. Kenta defeats Sora. Actually, it's more like Sora is beating himself. The more time he spends with Kenta, the more he realizes he's on the wrong path. Anyway, Tsubasa beats Benkei, Kyoya defeats Hikaru, then there's a battle royale battle between Hyoma, Kyoya, Ginka, Kenta, Yu, and Tsubasa. This battle royale battle is followed by a masked blader, Phoenix. The winner of this battle is Kyoya, so Kyoya is first, Kenta is second, and Ginka, Yu, and Tsubasa are third. Kyoya thus secures a spot in the Battle Bladers tournament by collecting 50,000 Bay points. Ginka, on the other hand, loses his scorer to Tetsuya. This masked blader, who calls himself Phoenix, takes the scorekeeper from Tetsuya and tells Ginka, if you beat me, you get this back. If not, your points will be reset. So he and Ginka have a match. Phoenix beats Ginka and breaks the scorekeeper. All the points Ginka has collected so far go down the drain. With the start of Battle Bladers just around the corner, it becomes next to impossible for Ginka to collect 50,000 Bay points. Ryuga, meanwhile, is not idle and takes action. He too must score 50,000 Bay points. Benkei easily defeats the army of hundreds of bladers on his side and wins many more battles. He defeats Tab and Rotaru at the same time. After watching these battles, Tsubasa moves on and tries to gather information about Ryuga and Eldar in the Dark Nebula building. However, he's caught in the process. Ryuga and Tsubasa then fight. Just as Ryuga has Tsubasa cornered, Phoenix reappears and saves Tsubasa. Thus ends the relationship between Tsubasa and Dark Nebula. While all this is going on, Ginka needs 50,000 Bay points to join the Battle Bladers. Ginka did his best and collected 47,000 points. However, since he's starting from scratch, he only needs 3,000 more points. Madoka realizes that there are makeup tournaments. Coincidentally, the winners of this tournament are awarded exactly 3,000 Bay points. Ginka is on his way to catch this tournament. At that moment, Tsubasa arrives and says she wants to talk to Ginka. Because Phoenix told Tsubasa you cannot defeat Ryuga alone, the only one who can defeat him is Ginka. You'll understand why when you get to know Jinka's friends. Tsubasa challenges Ginka, but his friends say that Ginka should not enter the battle, saying that he'll be late for the tournament. Ginka then sets off. However, Ginka can't take it anymore and turns back. Meanwhile, Phoenix arrives and challenges Ginka once again. This time, Ginka manages to defeat Phoenix and get his Bay points back. Actually, the score that Phoenix broke in the first place was not Jinka's. Thus, Ginka had a total of 95,000 points. Tsubasa joins Ginka and his friends, befriends them, and the Battle Bladers tournament begins. The Battle Bladers tournament is underway. In the first challenges, Benkei defeats Tsubasa, Kenta defeats Sora, Ryu defeats Rauru, and Tsubasa defeats Teru. After the 4 battles, a match between Ginka and Yu takes place. At first, Yu admires Ryuga, but after facing Ginka, his opinion changes a bit. Ginka beats Yu, and at the end of the match, he tells Yu that he's a great blader, and it's a lot of fun to fight against him. That sentence is actually what changes Yu. Ginka has touched the hearts of many important bladers, and Yu now admires Ginka. However, Ryuga starts to ostracize Yu after realizing this. Another important battle takes place between Hyoma and Reiji. Reiji defeats Hyoma using a black move and even smashes his Beyblade to pieces. The next battle in the tournament is between Ryuga and Hikaru. Ryuga defeats Hikaru in such a way that it is traumatizing for Hikaru. Even in later seasons, Hikaru appears in scenes where her trauma is triggered by seeing Ryuga. Ryuga puts the defeated members in difficult situations to punish them. He treats Tetsuya and Tobio as harshly as he did Hikaru. When the next day of the tournament arrives, Doji changes the matchups. For example, the next match is between Kyoya and Ryuga, but Ryuga's opponent changes to Tsubasa. The first battle is between 2 best friends, Kyoya and Benkei. The winner is Kyoya. Jinka's opponent is Ryu. Ginka defeats Ryu, eliminating another Dark Nebula member from the tournament. After the battles, while Ginka is evaluating the battles with his friends, Yu comes to them distraught and tells them everything that happened to him. When Kenta hears Yu's story, he becomes even more ambitious, because his opponent is exactly the person who made Yu this way, Reiji. But can Kenta defeat Reiji? No, he can't. Reiji does to Kenta what he did to Yu and tears Sagittario to pieces. Everyone is proud of Kenta's fight. The next first battle is between Ryuga and Tsubasa. Tsubasa fights with all his might, but it's not enough to defeat Ryuga. Tsubasa impresses with his determination at first, and we see this determination in later seasons. For now, however, Tsubasa ends up like Hikaru and is hospitalized. The exciting battles of the tournament include Ryuga and Ginka's battle, followed by the favorite match between Ryuga and Kyoya. While Reiji and Ginka battle it out, Kenta and Hyoma take on Doji, because Doji has kidnapped Yu and they want to rescue him, but in the end, it is Phoenix who saves Hyoma and Kenta. Phoenix defeats Doji first, and then Ginka manages to defeat Ryuga, even though it's difficult. Ginka arrives on the scene after this fight, and what does he find? Phoenix is his father. Anyway, as soon as Ginka sees his father in the anime, first he reproaches him by saying, "How could you do this to me?" Then he hugs him crying. They say Yu and his father gathers everyone and tells the story of El Drago and the bosun. His father was actually saved by Muto. Anyway, Ryuga defeats Doji, who's already in a bad mood, and proves that he wasn't connected to him from the beginning. We come to Ryuga and Kyoya's battle. Ryuga makes an entrance by blowing up the field. Kyoya taunts Ryuga during the fight and says, "Don't use the power you stole from other Beyblades. Beat me with the power of your own Beyblade." Ryuga agrees and fights that way. They fight like this for a while, but El Drago captures Ryuga and takes him under control. This is the first time we see El Drago change form a little bit. However, Kyoya is defeated and he too is hospitalized. And so the final will be between Ginka and Ryuga. In the final battle, Ryuga completely changes form and becomes demonic and fights Ginka. As the battle continues, Hyoma, Kyoya, and Tsubasa come to support Ginka in spirit. In the end, Ginka, with his Beyblade Pegasus, is able to defeat Ryuga in an incredible way. Ginka rescues Ryuga and during the fight realizes that the enemy is not Ryuga, but the dark force that has possessed him. Ryuga then walks away and Ginka becomes the Battle Bladers champion. I tried to tell you about the anime as much as I could. I may have mistakes, but I did my best to give you a summary of the season from start to end. I hope you enjoyed the video and this series. If you want other seasons to come, you can subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.